Have you ever wondered what the soul looks like once it leaves the body? Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, gave us extraordinary insights into this mystery. He revealed that after death, we do not carry fabric or earthly clothes, but instead a spiritual garment that reflects the truth of who we are inside. Some souls shine with radiant robes of light, while others appear clothed in shadows, carrying the weight of their choices and thoughts. Cayce explained that our spiritual evolution is written in these garments, and they reveal whether we live in harmony with divine laws or still struggle with lower desires. This is not symbolism only, it is a mirror of the state of your soul. And here is something to reflect on. If your thoughts today shape the clothing of your soul tomorrow, what would your garment look like? Comment below how you imagine your soul would be seen after death, and I will mark each comment with a heart, because this conversation matters deeply. Stay until the end of this video because what you are about to hear will forever change the way you see your life, your choices, and your eternal future. When Cayce spoke of life beyond death, he often described the soul not as a vague shadow, but as a being with form, radiance, and presence. He explained that after the physical body is released, the soul carries with it a spiritual body, sometimes called the etheric or astral form. This body is clothed, but not in fabric or woven material. Instead, it is clothed in the substance of thought, intention, and vibration. What a person has cultivated in their inner life becomes visible. Cayce said many times that thoughts are things, and nowhere is this more evident than in the state of the soul after death. The clothing of the spirit is not purchased, it is created moment by moment, through choices of kindness or cruelty, of love or bitterness, of faith or fear. In this way the soul cannot hide its reality, because its garment is simply the expression of its accumulated inner life. Cayce's descriptions reveal a profound truth. The spiritual world is governed by law, just as the physical world is. Just as gravity pulls us down, spiritual law reflects the state of our consciousness outwardly. Souls that nurtured patience, forgiveness, and devotion to God radiate garments of light, often seen as robes shining in brilliant white or soft golden tones. These are not metaphors, but manifestations of spiritual truth, observable to those already in the other world. On the other hand, souls burdened by anger, envy, or selfishness appear with darker, heavier coverings. Some even seem ragged or without clear form, because their own lack of spiritual harmony projects confusion and unrest. The robe of the soul is therefore a testimony, a silent witness that declares where the soul stands on its journey toward God. Cayce also explained that these garments are not permanent. They can change as the soul learns, grows, and sheds the lower tendencies that once defined it. In the same way that a person can repent, forgive, and heal during life, the soul after death can be guided by prayer, teaching, and love to transform its condition. The dark cloak of resentment can slowly give way to brighter clothing as forgiveness is embraced. This shows us that God's mercy never abandons anyone. Even in the realms of shadow, there is always the possibility of light. The garment is not punishment, but consequence, not condemnation, but revelation. It tells the truth of what has been cultivated, while leaving the door open for redemption. This truth has great weight for us while we are still alive. If every thought we cultivate, every habit we form, every word we speak is weaving the robe that our soul will wear, then life takes on a far deeper meaning. We are not just living for today's success or failure, but shaping the image we will carry into eternity. Cayce urged his listeners to take seriously the daily practice of prayer, meditation, kindness, and service, because these are the threads of light that become our clothing after the body is gone. Imagine standing before those you love in the next world, not able to cover yourself with appearance or masks, but revealed exactly as you are. What would your garment declare about you? This is not meant to frighten, but to awaken, to remind us that every choice carries eternal consequence. Cayce often said that the soul's garment is woven not by chance, but by law, and that law is love. Those who attune themselves to God's purposes appear radiant, their robes luminous, because their hearts have become channels for divine light. This is why in his readings he insisted so much on the daily alignment with spiritual ideals. He explained that choosing an ideal and holding it firmly, such as love, patience, or service, creates a current of thought that slowly reshapes the inner life. That current becomes visible after death, like threads of living light forming a cloak. Many who asked Cayce about loved ones who had passed received comfort in hearing that their souls were seen in light, already clothed in brightness because of the lives they had lived with sincerity. But others were warned that without turning toward God, the soul could appear bound in shadows, its garment heavy, reflecting years of bitterness or pride left unresolved. One of the most remarkable aspects of Cayce's teaching is that no one is stuck forever in the garment they first appear in after death. He described realms of the spirit as places of learning, where souls are guided by helpers, teachers, and even loved ones who come in prayer to uplift them. The dark robe of guilt can, through prayer and growth, give way to brighter clothing. Yet he made clear that the process is not automatic. It requires willingness. A soul clinging stubbornly to anger or denial may remain in darkness, while one that opens in humility may quickly begin to shine. This teaching reveals both justice and mercy. Justice, because we cannot hide the truth of what we have sown. Mercy, because change is always possible. The garment is never fixed in stone but fluid, just like our thoughts and intentions. For those of us still here, the message is clear. Each act of forgiveness is like weaving a golden thread into our eternal robe. Each choice to pray instead of complain, to bless instead of curse, to serve instead of demand is another stitch of light. Cayce encouraged people to meditate daily, not just as a spiritual exercise, but as a way of feeding the soul with higher vibrations that become visible later. He even described that those who practiced sincere meditation and service appeared clothed in garments of radiant white, easily distinguished from others. He urged people not to waste time fearing death, but instead to use life as preparation, as the weaving loom where the soul crafts its future clothing. The way we live today is literally tailoring what we will wear tomorrow in eternity. Imagine this moment, leaving the body and stepping into a realm where nothing is hidden. Before you, other souls approach. Some shine like torches, their garments flowing in soft brilliance, peace radiating from them. Others seem gray, dim, their clothing thin or torn, as if weighed down by burdens they still carry. And then you see yourself, not in a mirror of glass, but in the clear reflection of spiritual law. You realize your soul wears exactly what it has built through a lifetime of thoughts and deeds. This realization is powerful because it shows that we hold the tools now, while alive, to shape what will be revealed. Life is not meaningless. Every small act matters because it becomes part of the fabric of our eternal appearance. In several of his readings, Cayce described the transition of souls who had just crossed over, and many of those accounts included vivid references to the appearance of their spiritual bodies. He told grieving families that their loved one was not lost, but clothed in garments that reflected peace or struggle, depending on the life they had lived. One reading described a man who had lived with devotion and service. Cayce said he appeared in robes of brightness, moving freely and joyfully into the realms of light. In another case, he spoke of a soul who was restless, clinging to material attachments, and therefore was seen in darker, heavier clothing, almost like a fog that clung to the body. These details were not given to frighten, but to encourage transformation while there was still time on earth. Cayce always reminded his clients that death does not erase what has been cultivated in the heart. It reveals it. What makes this teaching so profound is how it dissolves illusions. In the physical world, it is easy to put on a mask, expensive clothes, practiced smiles, outward success. But none of these survive death. The soul's garment cannot be borrowed or faked. It is the natural outcome of thought and intention. Cayce emphasized that in the spirit world, nothing external can hide what is within. Your robe is your character revealed. For many, this realization was a call to live with greater integrity, to align outer actions with inner ideals so that no contradiction would be exposed later. He warned that hypocrisy weaves a robe of confusion, while sincerity weaves a garment of clarity. This is why he often repeated that mind is the builder. It builds the house we live in here, and the robe we wear there. One of the most comforting aspects of Cayce's readings is that he described the helpers who meet souls after death. He said many souls are greeted by figures clothed in radiant garments, luminous beings who guide the newcomer with love and reassurance. These helpers do not judge by condemning words, but by presence. Their very brightness invites the soul to rise, to seek change, to leave behind its shadows. The contrast between the helper's robe of light and the newcomer's robe often stirs a deep desire for growth. Cayce explained that this is part of God's design, to allow souls to learn by reflection. Just as here on earth we are inspired by the example of others, so in the afterlife we are uplifted by the luminous garments of advanced souls who remind us of what is possible. For us who listen to these words today, the implication is powerful. Every moment of envy resisted, every choice to forgive instead of holding a grudge, every decision to give rather than to take, these are acts of tailoring. They are stitches in the robe of light we are destined to wear. And if we fail, if we stumble into anger, pride, or selfishness, we are still given the chance to change, to remove those threads and replace them with new ones. Cayce's vision is not a doctrine of despair, but of hope. He insisted that the soul is never abandoned, never condemned without possibility of change. The garment is a message, not a sentence, and its fabric can always be rewoven through repentance, love, and the grace of God. Cayce often connected his insights to the scriptures, showing that what he saw in his readings aligned with truths long recorded in the Bible. He pointed to the book of Revelation, where it speaks of the saints clothed in white robes, standing before the throne of God. For Cayce, this was not mere symbolism. It was a description of what the soul actually manifests when it has lived a life of faith, service, and love. The white robe is the visible sign of purity, the garment woven by choices aligned with divine law. He explained that those who stand in light do so not because of favoritism, but because of what they have built inwardly. Their robes shine because their souls shine. The biblical imagery of linen clean and white is the same truth he described in modern language, that the soul's condition is revealed through its clothing of light or shadow. At the same time, Cayce reminded his listeners that the darker garments mentioned in Scripture also correspond to real conditions. He warned that those who cling to anger, greed, or hatred after death may appear in robes of shadow, wandering in confusion until they are willing to release what binds them. This is not punishment from outside, but the natural outworking of spiritual law. Just as a tree bears fruit according to its kind, so the soul appears clothed according to what it has cultivated. Cayce often repeated that spiritual law is exact and cannot be escaped. But he also emphasized mercy. The soul is always invited to change, to be washed clean, to take on new garments. This echoes the biblical promise that though our sins be as scarlet, they can be made white as snow. He also connected these teachings with the parables of Jesus, particularly the parable of the wedding garment. In that story, the guest without a proper garment is cast out of the feast. Cayce explained that this does not mean God arbitrarily rejects, but that the garment is a symbol of the prepared soul. To enter the higher realms, one must be clothed in love, humility, and service. Without these qualities, the soul is simply not in harmony with the vibration of the feast. It cannot remain where it does not belong, not because it is excluded by force, but because it cannot endure the higher light until it has been transformed. Thus the parable is not a threat, but a reminder. Prepare your garment now, while on earth, by living in harmony with divine law. For us, this means that spiritual practice is not optional decoration, but the very weaving of our eternal appearance. Cayce urged daily meditation, daily prayer, and daily service, because these are the actions that stitch light into the soul's robe. He warned against living carelessly, thinking that appearances here could substitute for true growth. He explained that after death, masks fall away, titles vanish, possessions are left behind, but the garment of the soul remains. It is the one thing we carry with us, because it is not external, but internal, the accumulation of what we truly are. When this is understood, life takes on new urgency. Every day is a chance to add a thread of light, to prepare the robe that will one day reveal us before God and others. Cayce's vision of the soul's garments is not meant to frighten us, but to awaken us. He wanted people to see that every moment matters because eternity is shaped in the present. When we choose anger, envy, or bitterness, we are sewing threads of shadow into our robe. When we choose compassion, humility, and truth, we are weaving light. This makes life on earth a sacred opportunity, a workshop where we prepare ourselves for what lies beyond. It is not about fear of punishment, but about responsibility and hope. You hold the needle every day, and with every thought and action you are sowing your eternal appearance. That is why Cayce insisted so often on the phrase, "Mind is the builder." Your mind is building not just your future in this world, but your garment in the next. He explained that when souls appear in radiant clothing, it is not because they were perfect, but because they chose to realign, to turn back to God even after failure. Many who once lived in shadow rose to light because they humbled themselves, asked for forgiveness, and practiced love. Their robes became brighter over time, reflecting their sincere change. This shows us that it is never too late to start. Even now, no matter what you have done, you can begin weaving a new robe. You can choose to release resentment, to forgive, to open your heart in prayer, and these choices will instantly begin changing your spiritual appearance. God's grace is like a cleansing river, and every soul is invited to wash its garment and make it new. Think of the moment when you leave this life. There will be no costumes, no roles, no masks, only the truth of your soul revealed in its garment. Loved ones may meet you, helpers may come in light, and your robe will declare your story. Will it shine with peace or carry the stains of what you refuse to let go? The answer is being written right now in the choices you make. This is not speculation. It is what Cayce saw again and again in his readings, and it places before you a question that cannot be ignored. What garment are you weaving for your eternity? This message is meant to stir your heart and call you to action. Reflect deeply on the life you are living. If you were to step beyond the veil tonight, what would your robe reveal? Share your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear from you. I will mark every comment with a heart, because this reflection is sacred and your voice matters. If this message touched you, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you do not miss the next teachings. Stay with us, because together we will keep unveiling the truths that Cayce left for the world, truths that can transform how we see life, death, and eternity itself. If this video found you right now, it's no accident. Edgar Cayce always said there are no coincidences, only spiritual appointments, and you're literally one step away from the most profound breakthrough of your spiritual journey. But there's a hidden pattern that Cayce discovered in his readings, something that happens to souls right before their greatest victories. What he revealed will change everything you thought you knew about spiritual progress, and why some people seem to get stuck just inches from their destiny. I'm about to share discoveries from Cayce's most powerful readings that reveal the invisible forces at work in your life right now. If you're seeing this message today, your soul is ready to hear this truth, because what I'm going to tell you has the power to transform everything you thought you knew about your spiritual path. During his remarkable 4 decades of psychic readings in Virginia Beach, Edgar Cayce encountered thousands of people seeking guidance. But there was one pattern that emerged again and again in his most impactful sessions throughout the 1920s, 1930s, and 1940s. A phenomenon that stunned even Cayce himself. People would come to him feeling stuck, frustrated, like they were hitting an invisible wall just when their spiritual growth should have been accelerating. They'd been meditating for months or years. They'd been working on themselves, reading spiritual texts, trying to connect with their higher purpose, but something was blocking their progress. In one particularly profound reading from the early 1930s, Cayce entered his familiar trance state and began speaking about what he called the final test before spiritual breakthrough. He explained that the soul goes through specific stages of development, and right before the most significant transformation, there's always a moment of what seems like resistance or complete blockage. But here's what most people don't understand. This resistance isn't what it appears to be. Cayce described this phenomenon as the universe's way of ensuring we're truly ready for the next level of consciousness. It's not punishment, it's not some cosmic joke, and it's definitely not a sign that you're on the wrong path. According to the readings, this apparent obstacle is actually the final preparation phase before your greatest spiritual leap forward. The readings consistently showed that those who felt most stuck, most frustrated, most ready to give up, were often just days or weeks away from the breakthrough they'd been seeking. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you felt like you were making incredible progress in your spiritual journey, only to suddenly feel blocked, confused, or like you were moving backward? Cayce's readings revealed this isn't a setback. It's actually a sign that you're closer to victory than you realize. The universe doesn't prepare us for small changes. When something significant is about to shift in your consciousness, in your life, in your spiritual abilities, there's always this period of what seems like darkness before the dawn. In session after session documented in the Cayce Archives, Cayce would tell people that what they were experiencing as obstacles were actually spiritual tests designed to strengthen their resolve and deepen their faith. He consistently advised that persistence during these challenging moments was the key to unlocking their true spiritual potential. But he went even deeper than that. Cayce explained that these periods of apparent struggle are when the most profound internal transformations are actually taking place. During the Great Depression years, when people came to Cayce feeling hopeless about their circumstances, he would often reveal in his readings that their souls had chosen this exact timing for their spiritual awakening. The external challenges weren't separate from their spiritual journey. They were an integral part of it. The readings showed that souls often incarnate at specific historical moments because those circumstances provide the perfect catalyst for their spiritual evolution. The fascinating thing about Cayce's approach was his emphasis on practical spirituality, combined with profound metaphysical insights. He never encouraged people to simply wait passively for things to change. Instead, his readings provided specific guidance on how to work with these challenging periods. He would recommend particular forms of meditation, suggest changes in diet and lifestyle, advise specific acts of service to others, or point people towards certain books or studies that would support their growth during these crucial transition times. One of the most powerful concepts that emerged from Cayce's work was his understanding of soul memory and karmic patterns. He explained that our souls carry forward experiences from previous lifetimes, and sometimes what feels like current resistance is actually the resolution of ancient patterns finally being released. This perspective helped countless people understand that their struggles weren't failures or signs of spiritual inadequacy, but rather necessary completions of old karmic cycles that had to be cleared before they could step into their true spiritual power. Cayce's readings also revealed that these periods of apparent blockage often coincide with increased spiritual sensitivity and psychic ability. People would report strange dreams, unusual synchronicities, heightened intuitive experiences, or even physical sensations during these times. Rather than dismiss these as distractions or side effects, Cayce taught that they were signs of expanding spiritual awareness. Your consciousness is literally expanding, and like any growth process, it can feel uncomfortable before it feels empowering. The archives at the Association for Research and Enlightenment in Virginia Beach contain thousands of documented cases where people followed Cayce's guidance through these challenging periods and experienced remarkable breakthroughs. These weren't overnight miracles, but rather gradual unfoldings of spiritual potential that had been building for months or even years. What appeared to be sudden transformation was actually the culmination of deep internal work that had been happening beneath the surface of conscious awareness. What makes Cayce's insights so incredibly relevant today is how perfectly they apply to our modern spiritual seekers. Whether you're working with meditation, energy healing, manifestation techniques, crystal work, astrology, or any other spiritual practice, these same universal principles still operate. The moment you feel like giving up on your spiritual path might be exactly when you're about to break through to a completely new level of understanding and ability. Cayce consistently emphasized that spiritual growth isn't linear. It doesn't happen like climbing a steady staircase where each step is clearly defined and predictable. Instead, it happens in waves, with periods of rapid expansion followed by times of integration and apparent stillness. Understanding this natural rhythm can completely transform your entire approach to spiritual development and save you from the frustration of thinking you're doing something wrong during the quieter periods. The readings also revealed something extraordinary about how breakthrough moments actually occur. They often come disguised as ordinary experiences, a casual conversation with a stranger, a book that somehow finds its way into your hands, a sudden insight during routine activities like washing dishes or walking the dog, an unexpected phone call, or even what seems like a setback that forces you to change direction. Cayce taught that the universe communicates through the everyday fabric of our lives, especially when we're on the verge of major spiritual advancement. During the war years of the 1940s, when uncertainty and fear were prevalent throughout American society, Cayce's readings took on an even more powerful quality. He began speaking about collective spiritual awakening and how individual spiritual breakthroughs contribute to the elevation of human consciousness as a whole. The reading suggested that when someone commits to their spiritual growth and pushes through their resistance to breakthrough, they're not just transforming their own life, they're contributing to a shift in consciousness that affects everyone around them. This understanding adds another layer of significance to your spiritual journey. When you feel like giving up, when the path seems too difficult, when you're tempted to settle for less than your full spiritual potential, remember that your breakthrough isn't just about you. According to Cayce's readings, every person who achieves their spiritual breakthrough makes it easier for others to do the same. You're part of a collective awakening that's been building for decades, and your individual victory contributes to something much larger than yourself. Cayce also spoke extensively about the role of divine timing in spiritual development. The readings consistently showed that souls incarnate with a specific spiritual agenda, and that agenda unfolds according to perfect divine timing. What feels like delay from our human perspective is actually divine orchestration ensuring that all the pieces are in place for your greatest good. The people you need to meet, the experiences you need to have, the lessons you need to learn, they all come together at exactly the right moment to support your spiritual breakthrough. What's particularly fascinating about studying Cayce's work is how he addressed the relationship between physical health and spiritual development. Many of his readings revealed that physical symptoms or health challenges often precede major spiritual breakthroughs. The body, mind, and spirit are so interconnected that when the spirit is preparing for expansion, the physical body often goes through its own process of purification and adjustment. This might manifest as unusual fatigue, changes in sleep patterns, dietary preferences, or even temporary physical discomfort. Rather than seeing these physical changes as problems to be fixed, Cayce taught people to understand them as signs that their entire being, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, is preparing for a new level of functioning. He would often recommend specific physical practices like particular exercises, dietary adjustments, or healing treatments that would support the body through these transition periods. The spiritual practices that Cayce recommended most frequently during breakthrough periods included daily meditation, preferably at the same time each day, to establish a strong connection with divine guidance. He emphasized prayer not as asking for things, but as a form of communion and alignment with divine will. He also consistently recommended acts of service to others, explaining that when we're focused on helping others, we often receive the spiritual insights and breakthroughs we've been seeking for ourselves. Throughout his readings, Cayce returned again and again to the theme of patience and persistence. He would tell people that spiritual development is like tending a garden. You plant the seeds through your spiritual practices, you water them with consistent effort and faith, but you can't force them to grow faster than their natural timing allows. Yet when the harvest time comes, it often seems to happen all at once, even though the growth has been occurring steadily beneath the surface. One of the most empowering aspects of Cayce's teachings is his emphasis on personal responsibility and inner authority. While he provided guidance and insights through his readings, he consistently told people that the real wisdom they needed was already within them. The breakthrough they were seeking wasn't something that would come from outside themselves. It was something that would emerge from within as they learned to trust their own divine connection and inner knowing. This perspective is incredibly relevant for modern spiritual seekers who often look outside themselves for validation, guidance, or proof that they're on the right path. Cayce's readings suggest that the spiritual breakthrough you're seeking is already within you, waiting to be uncovered and expressed. The challenges, the resistance, the apparent obstacles, they're all part of the process of clearing away everything that's not authentically you, so that your true spiritual nature can shine through. The concept of spiritual timing also extends to the idea that you're reading or hearing these words right now for a specific reason. According to Cayce's understanding of how the universe operates, information and insights come to us exactly when we're ready to receive and use them. If you've been drawn to Edgar Cayce's work, if you've been seeking spiritual growth, if you've been feeling like you're on the verge of something significant, then you're already in the process of breakthrough. The very fact that you're here, engaging with this content, is evidence that your soul is ready for the next level of its journey. Cayce often spoke about the importance of maintaining hope and faith during challenging periods. He explained that hope isn't passive wishful thinking, but rather an active spiritual force that keeps us aligned with our highest potential even when external circumstances seem difficult. Faith, according to the readings, is the ability to act on spiritual truth even before we see physical evidence of its manifestation. Together, hope and faith create the spiritual foundation that allows breakthrough to occur. The practical applications of Cayce's insights about spiritual breakthrough are numerous. First, if you've been feeling stuck or frustrated in your spiritual development, recognize that this might actually be a sign that you're closer to breakthrough than you realize. Instead of interpreting resistance as evidence that you should give up, consider it evidence that you should persist with even greater determination. Second, pay attention to the synchronicities, dreams, intuitive insights, and unusual experiences that often increase during breakthrough periods. Keep a journal to track these experiences, as they often contain guidance and confirmation that you're moving in the right direction. What might seem like random coincidences are often the universe's way of communicating with you during these crucial transition times. Third, maintain your spiritual practices even when they seem to have lost their effectiveness or appeal. Cayce's readings consistently showed that breakthrough often occurs not during peak spiritual experiences, but during the mundane moments when we continue our practices even though we don't feel particularly inspired. Consistency during these dry periods is what creates the foundation for profound spiritual transformation. Fourth, be willing to release old patterns, beliefs, relationships, or situations that no longer serve your spiritual growth. Breakthrough often requires making space for something new to enter your life, and this sometimes means letting go of things that once felt comfortable or familiar. The readings showed that resistance to necessary changes can delay breakthrough, while willingness to embrace change can accelerate it dramatically. Finally, remember that your spiritual breakthrough isn't just about personal gain or achievement. According to Cayce's understanding, every person who commits to their spiritual development and pushes through to breakthrough is contributing to the elevation of human consciousness as a whole. Your victory makes it easier for others to achieve their own victories. Your courage to persist through challenging times inspires others to do the same. Your willingness to trust in divine timing and divine purpose adds to the collective faith that supports everyone's spiritual journey. As we move further into the 21st century, Cayce's insights about spiritual breakthrough become even more relevant. We're living in a time of accelerated spiritual awakening, when more people than ever before are seeking deeper meaning, purpose, and connection with their spiritual nature. The old systems and structures that once provided stability are changing rapidly, forcing us to look within for our sense of security and direction. This is exactly the kind of environment that Cayce said would catalyze mass spiritual awakening. If you're feeling called to spiritual growth, if you're seeking deeper meaning and purpose, if you're working to develop your intuitive abilities, if you're trying to understand your life's purpose, if you're struggling with old patterns that no longer serve you, then you're part of this collective awakening. The challenges you're facing aren't obstacles to your spiritual development. They're the very experiences your soul chose to facilitate your breakthrough to higher consciousness. So if you're watching this video right now, feeling like you're on the edge of something significant but not quite sure what, take it as a powerful sign. Cayce would say this isn't coincidence. It's your soul's perfect timing. You're being prepared for something greater than you can imagine right now. And what feels like delay or resistance is actually divine orchestration preparing you for the expansion of consciousness that you've been seeking. The question isn't whether you'll experience spiritual breakthrough. If you're here, if you're seeking, if you're growing, if you're willing to look within and do the work, then breakthrough is inevitable. The question is, whether you'll recognize it when it happens and have the courage to step fully into the expanded version of yourself that's waiting to emerge. Your spiritual victory isn't just possible. According to Edgar Cayce's profound insights, it's your divine destiny. If this message has resonated with your soul, if you felt that inner recognition of truth, I'd love to hear about your own experiences with spiritual breakthrough moments. Share in the comments below. What signs have you noticed that your spiritual growth is accelerating? What resistance have you been experiencing that might actually be preparation for breakthrough? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today to recognize their own breakthrough process. And if you're ready to explore more of Edgar Cayce's profound insights about consciousness, spiritual development, and the awakening that's happening on our planet right now, make sure to subscribe and join our community of souls who are committed to awakening their fullest potential and supporting each other through this incredible journey of spiritual transformation. What if the soul of your beloved pet was never truly gone? What if the bond you shared was so powerful, so deeply spiritual, that it could transcend death itself? Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, gave countless readings about the journey of the soul, and among them he revealed something that touches the very heart of those who have ever loved an animal. He spoke of the spiritual essence of pets, the energy that never dies, and the invisible ties that can bring them back to us across lifetimes. This is not a fantasy or a comforting story. These are insights taken directly from Cayce's work, insights that challenge everything we thought we knew about life, death, and the unbreakable connection between humans and animals. Today, you will discover how love, even in its simplest form between you and your pet, can be part of a larger divine design. Stay until the end because this may change the way you look at your pet forever. And before we begin, I want to know, do you believe your pet's soul could find you again? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I will read each one and mark it with a heart, because every story matters here. Many people believe that when a beloved pet dies, it is the end of a beautiful but brief chapter. The grief is overwhelming, the silence in the house unbearable, and the absence almost too much to carry. Yet Edgar Cayce, the Sleeping Prophet, suggested that life in all its forms does not end with the physical body. He described existence as a cycle of growth, learning, and return. Just as he spoke of human souls evolving through lifetimes, he also hinted at the spiritual path of animals. He acknowledged that animals have souls in development and that their essence, like ours, belongs to the same divine source. When asked about pets, Cayce made it clear that the energy of love and the bonds formed do not vanish at death but rather continue as part of an eternal pattern. This perspective changes everything because it suggests that the animals we love may not only live on, but could also return to us in another form, drawn by the strength of the bond we once shared. Cayce explained that all souls, whether human or animal, are connected to the Creator and are part of a greater design. While human souls have a more advanced awareness, animals are on their own journey of spiritual growth. Pets, especially those who live closely with humans, often absorb emotions, energies, and vibrations from their caretakers. They learn to love, to trust, to serve, and in doing so they participate in the spiritual progress of creation. This is why, according to Cayce, a pet's presence is never random. The deep comfort you feel when your dog rests his head on your lap, or when your cat curls up next to you during times of sorrow, is not just instinct. It is the manifestation of a spiritual link that surpasses understanding. These bonds can become so strong that they may pull a pet's soul back into your life again. One of the remarkable things about Cayce's readings is that he often emphasized how thought and intention shape reality. He said, "Mind is the builder, and that which is held in the mind becomes the pattern." This principle applies not only to human destiny, but also to the energy connections with our pets. When you think of your beloved animal, when you grieve, when you love, you are sending out a vibration. That vibration interacts with the universal field of energy, and in ways we cannot fully comprehend, creates pathways that may allow the soul of that pet to return to you. Cayce did not present this as a fantasy or superstition, but as a natural extension of spiritual law. Just as love between humans can endure beyond death and reunite souls across lifetimes, so too can the love between humans and their pets. There are countless testimonies from people who believe their pet has come back to them. They recognize familiar behaviors in a new puppy or kitten, a way of looking at them, or a unique habit that feels uncannily the same as before. While Cayce did not catalogue these cases in detail, his readings give us a framework to understand them. He said that energy and consciousness survive the body, and that like attracts like. This means that the intensity of your love, the purity of the bond, and the spiritual lessons shared could make it possible for your pet's soul to seek you again. It is not guaranteed, because each soul, whether human or animal, is part of a larger divine purpose. Yet the possibility is real, and it is rooted in the same spiritual laws that Cayce described over decades of work. Consider for a moment what this means for your own life. If you have ever lost a pet and felt that part of you went with them, Cayce's insights offer hope. He taught that separation is never final. Just as we may reunite with loved ones in future lives or in the spiritual realms, so too can the essence of our pets find its way back to us. This is why many people who deeply bond with animals describe an almost supernatural recognition when they meet a new one. It is as if the soul behind the eyes is the same, whispering, "I found you again." According to Cayce, this is not something to dismiss lightly. It is part of the mystery of creation, the demonstration that love is stronger than death and that spiritual connections are eternal. Now this brings us to a deeper question. Why does this happen? Why would a pet return to the same owner? Cayce often explained that experiences are not random. Every encounter, every relationship is an opportunity for growth, for learning, for love. When an animal and a human share an intense relationship of care, loyalty, and unconditional love, they both participate in spiritual evolution. The human learns compassion, patience, and responsibility, while the animal learns trust, devotion, and the vibration of love. This mutual exchange creates a spiritual contract, an invisible thread that may continue beyond a single lifetime. That is why, under certain conditions, the soul of a pet may be drawn back to the same person, because the lesson, the love, and the connection are not yet complete. Cayce also reminded us that death is never the end, but a transition. He described the afterlife as a realm where souls continue their journey, preparing for the next step in their evolution. Pets, though different in their level of awareness, also pass through this process. Their essence rests, heals, and prepares for new experiences. If the spiritual bond with a human was especially strong, it is possible that the pet may be drawn once again into that same circle of love. This perspective not only brings comfort, but also responsibility. It reminds us that the way we treat our pets has eternal significance. When we show kindness, when we nurture, when we love them sincerely, we are participating in something far greater than we realize. We are shaping spiritual connections that may last across lifetimes. For some, this idea may sound too mystical, too hard to accept, but Cayce always insisted that truth is revealed through experience. He did not ask people to blindly believe, but to observe, to live, and to see how spiritual laws manifest in their own lives. If you have ever felt that your pet's presence lingered after death, or that a new animal carried the same soul as one you lost, you may have touched this mystery yourself. Cayce's readings simply give us the language and framework to understand what our hearts have always known, that love never ends. When we look at Edgar Cayce's broader teachings, a key idea is that all of creation is interconnected. He often described the universe as one body, where every part, from the greatest galaxy to the smallest living being, has its role and purpose. In this view, the bond you share with your pet is not something small or trivial. It is part of that universal harmony, a piece of divine order. Pets may not speak with words, but their presence speaks to the soul. Cayce explained that energy never dies, it only changes form. If this principle is true for human souls, why would it not also apply to animals? The love between you and your pet is energy, and energy leaves an imprint that remains. That imprint can echo into future lives, drawing the same souls back together again. Cayce believed that the way we think, feel, and act creates patterns that shape our destiny. He often said, "Thoughts are things," reminding us that what we hold in our hearts becomes real in the spiritual dimensions. If you have ever felt that your pet was more than an animal, that they were a companion on a deeper level, then you have experienced what Cayce was talking about. That connection is not erased by physical death. Instead, it becomes a thread in the fabric of eternity, waiting to weave itself back into your life. This is why some people describe uncanny moments with new pets that remind them of one they lost. The tilt of a head, the way they look at you, or a specific behavior that seems too familiar to be coincidence. Cayce taught that there are no accidents. He said that life is guided by spiritual appointments, moments that are meant to be. When a new pet feels like a continuation of one who has passed, it may not be imagination. It may be the soul's way of finding you again. The idea of reincarnation is not always easy to accept, especially in relation to animals. Yet Cayce was clear. Life is eternal, and the soul's journey is far greater than we can imagine. For humans, reincarnation is a process of growth, learning, and spiritual development. For animals, it is simpler, but it exists within the same divine framework. He suggested that pets close to humans often advance spiritually because of the love they receive and the lessons they participate in. This makes them more likely to return because their growth is tied to yours. A dog or cat that share deep loyalty and love may come back not because they need it, but because you both are meant to continue learning together. This is a profound idea, one that turns the grief of loss into hope and the mystery of life into a gift. Cayce also warned about the responsibility that comes with this knowledge. If animals are indeed on a spiritual journey connected to ours, then the way we treat them carries consequences. Every act of kindness elevates both souls. Every act of cruelty damages both souls. In this way, our pets are not just companions, but sacred responsibilities. Loving them, caring for them, and respecting them is part of our own spiritual growth. This perspective challenges us to look deeper at the relationships we often take for granted. It reminds us that the love we show to the smallest creature may echo into eternity. When you feed your dog, when you comfort your cat, when you protect them, you are participating in a divine cycle that may reunite you again and again. Another striking element in Cayce's teachings is the way he described the afterlife. He said that when the soul leaves the body, it enters a realm of preparation, a dimension where it rests, heals, and reviews its past life. Humans experience this with greater awareness, but animals also go through a similar transition. The soul of a pet, according to Cayce, is not lost. It continues in the spiritual world, connected to the divine source. If the bond with a human was strong, that connection may act like a magnet, drawing the pet back to the same person when the time is right. This does not happen with every pet, and not every soul is meant to return in the same way. But Cayce's reading suggests that love is never wasted. It always leaves a mark, and that mark can lead to reunion. Think of what this means for the grief you carry. Many people struggle after losing a pet, feeling that nothing can ever replace them. Cayce would agree that no two souls are exactly alike, yet he would also remind us that love creates eternal connections. The specific form may change, but the essence can return. If you have ever felt your pet's presence after death, through dreams, sensations, or sudden moments of memory, Cayce's insights tell you this is real. He often said that the spiritual world communicates with us in subtle ways, through impressions, dreams, and inner knowing. A visit from your pet in a dream or a sign that reminds you of them may be more than coincidence. It may be the soul reaching out, reminding you that love never ends. This is why Cayce's perspective on pets and reincarnation is so powerful. It does not dismiss grief, but it transforms it. It tells us that the love we gave and received is part of something greater, something eternal. It tells us that the bond between us and our pets may not be broken by death, but instead strengthened across lifetimes. It tells us that when you love a pet deeply, that love may bring them back to you again and again. For those who have felt this possibility, Cayce's words bring reassurance. For those who have never considered it, they open a door to a new way of seeing life, death, and the eternal journey of the soul. Edgar Cayce often highlighted that reincarnation is not a random process, but is guided by laws of spiritual harmony. He explained that souls return to complete unfinished lessons or to deepen bonds that serve growth. This applies not only to human relationships, but also to the profound connections we form with animals. When a pet becomes more than a companion, when they become a source of comfort, a healer of loneliness, or a silent teacher of unconditional love, the bond reaches a level of sacredness. According to Cayce, bonds created through genuine love are never broken. They may shift, evolve, or transform, but they endure. This opens the possibility that the pet who once walked by your side could walk with you again in another time, another body, continuing the eternal exchange of love and learning. It is important to remember that Cayce did not present these truths as sentimental ideas, but as spiritual realities discovered through his readings. He did not invent stories to make people feel better. Rather, he transmitted what he perceived in higher states of consciousness. For him, the universe was orderly and purposeful, where nothing was lost and everything carried meaning. When asked about pets, his answers revealed that animals are not excluded from this divine order. They too are part of the universal cycle, and their closeness to humans accelerates their spiritual growth. This means that a beloved pet may not only reincarnate, but may feel naturally drawn back to the person with whom they shared such love. Consider the comfort this perspective provides. Grief often leaves people feeling powerless, as though death has stolen something precious forever. But Cayce's insights suggest otherwise. They remind us that love is stronger than death, and that bonds may weave themselves back into our lives. This transforms the way we see loss. Instead of an ending, it becomes a transition, a pause in an eternal relationship. If you have ever looked into the eyes of a new pet and felt the unmistakable sense of recognition, Cayce's teachings help explain why. It is not fantasy, but the soul's quiet confirmation that the connection continues. Cayce also emphasized the role of desire and intention. He explained that the soul is drawn to where its deepest ties and energies belong. This means that the longing of a grieving heart, the love that never dies, can act as a beacon attracting the soul of a pet back into your life. This does not mean you can command it or force it, but rather that spiritual laws naturally respond to love's vibration. Just as like attracts like, the intensity of your bond may bring you together again. In this way, Cayce's readings invite us to see our relationships with pets not as chance encounters, but as divine appointments. Each animal that comes into your life may carry a purpose, and some may carry the soul of one who has already shared that journey with you before. There is also a lesson of responsibility here. If animals are part of our spiritual growth, then how we treat them becomes eternally significant. Cayce insisted that every thought, every action leaves a mark on the soul. When you nurture, protect, and cherish your pet, you are not only shaping their journey but also your own. You are weaving a pattern of love that extends beyond this life. When cruelty or neglect occurs, the harm is not just physical, but spiritual, creating imbalances that must be healed. This shows us that pets are not simply possessions, but sacred trusts. Each act of kindness toward them is an act of alignment with divine law. In this sense, pets become reflections of our own growth. They mirror our love, our patience, and sometimes even our shortcomings. By caring for them, we learn about ourselves. Cayce believed that such experiences are never wasted because they prepare us for higher levels of spiritual awareness. If a pet reincarnates into your life, it is not only because of love, but also because the journey of learning is not yet complete. Perhaps there are lessons of forgiveness, compassion, or devotion still to be lived out together. This deepens the meaning of reincarnation, turning it from a mystical idea into a practical part of life's purpose. When we bring this back to the everyday reality of loss and longing, the message becomes deeply personal. If you have lost a pet and felt their absence as a wound, Cayce's teachings invite you to see beyond the pain. They suggest that the soul of your pet is not lost to the void, but is continuing its journey, and may one day walk beside you again. This is not wishful thinking, but a reflection of the universal law that love binds souls together across time. It challenges us to hold on to faith, to trust that nothing given in love is ever wasted, and it encourages us to live each day with the awareness that our relationships with animals are eternal, sacred, and part of God's design. Cayce often spoke of how creation itself is layered, with visible and invisible dimensions constantly interacting. To him, the physical world was only one part of reality, while the unseen spiritual dimension held the true essence of life. Pets, like humans, exist within this layered reality. Their bodies are temporary, but their essence is eternal. When we lose them, it feels final only because our eyes cannot yet see the spiritual plane. Cayce encouraged people to look beyond appearances and to recognize that every soul, regardless of form, continues its journey. In this way, the death of a pet is not a loss of being, but a shift of presence from one dimension to another. That soul still exists, and under the right conditions may return to continue its bond with you. One of Cayce's key teachings was that souls are drawn to where love is strongest. He explained that love is a universal force, a vibration that connects us across lifetimes and dimensions. This is why certain people meet again and again across different incarnations, because the power of love acts like a magnet. The same principle can apply to pets. If the love between you and your pet was profound, if it shaped both of your lives, then it creates a spiritual magnetism that can pull the soul of that pet back to you. This is not guaranteed, but it is possible, because the universe responds to the deepest energies of the heart. Imagine for a moment what this means. If you have ever held your pet in your arms and whispered words of love as they passed away, those words may carry more power than you realize. They may become a thread that links you across realms, a promise that echoes into eternity. Cayce often spoke about the power of prayer and intention. He said that when directed with love and faith, they move beyond the mind into the very fabric of creation. In the same way your longing for your pet, your hope to see them again may not be in vain. It may form part of the pathway by which their soul can return to you. At the same time, Cayce was careful to point out that reincarnation is not always immediate. Souls rest, learn, and prepare before returning. For pets, this may mean that they do not always come back right away, but in the timing that fits their journey and yours. This is why patience and trust are essential. If you meet a new animal and feel that strange, almost supernatural sense of familiarity, it could be the soul of your pet finding you again. But even if they do not return in this lifetime, Cayce's teachings assure us that the connection is never lost. In the greater reality of the spirit, reunion is inevitable because love cannot be destroyed. Cayce's words also carry a challenge to recognize the sacredness of every relationship with animals. If pets are part of our eternal journey, then they are far more than companions for our leisure. They are co-travelers in the soul's evolution. Each act of love toward them strengthens your own soul and theirs. Each moment of care becomes part of the eternal bond. Cayce insisted that spiritual law is exact. Nothing is lost and nothing is without consequence. To love a pet is to invest in eternity. To neglect or harm them is to harm yourself, because the bond is mutual and the lessons are shared. This places extraordinary value on the way we live with our pets, showing us that every interaction is part of a greater story. What makes Cayce's perspective so compelling is that it resonates with what many people already feel. Countless stories exist of people recognizing something of a lost pet in a new one. A dog that greets them in the exact same way, a cat that curls up on the same spot on the bed, or a unique behavior that cannot be explained by chance. These moments often leave people in awe, wondering if their beloved pet has returned. Cayce's teachings provide the framework to say yes, it is possible, and it may even be part of God's design. When love is genuine and pure, it becomes the strongest force in the universe, and it will always find a way to bring souls together again. This brings us to a final and very personal reflection. When you think of your pet, whether living or passed on, understand that the bond you share is eternal. Cayce would tell you that your love does not vanish, but becomes a thread in the vast tapestry of creation. If that bond is strong enough, it may draw your pet's soul back to you. If not in this lifetime, then in another. Either way, nothing is wasted, nothing is lost. The love you gave will always remain, and it will always return to you in some form. This is the promise of spiritual law, the assurance that life is continuous, and that love is the eternal bond that unites all souls, human and animal alike. Cayce also reminded people that the evidence of the soul's journey is often subtle. It comes not through dramatic signs, but through quiet recognition, inner knowing, and the resonance of the heart. If you have ever met a new pet and felt without reason that you already knew them, Cayce's framework suggests you may be recognizing the soul itself. These moments are deeply moving because they bypass logic and speak directly to spirit. They invite us to trust the reality of unseen connections. To Cayce, such recognition is not imagination, but alignment with truth. It is the soul remembering what the mind cannot fully explain. The idea that pets can reincarnate to find us again also expands our understanding of heaven and the afterlife. Many people ask if they will see their pets in heaven. Cayce's readings suggest that heaven is not a distant place, but a state of being, a spiritual dimension where souls exist and grow. In this dimension, the souls of pets continue, and the bonds of love remain intact. If reunion is part of the soul's growth, then it is assured. Sometimes that reunion may happen in the spiritual world, other times it may unfold through reincarnation in the physical world. Either way, the bond is never broken. For those who grieve, this teaching brings hope, because it means goodbye is never forever. Cayce often insisted that our experiences with animals are part of the same divine curriculum as our human relationships. They are opportunities for growth, compassion, and service. When a pet returns, it may not only be a comfort but also an invitation to continue learning together. Perhaps there are lessons of patience, forgiveness, or loyalty that still need to unfold. In this way, reincarnation is not simply about reunion, but about progress. It is about love becoming deeper, wiser, and more enduring. It is about the human soul and the animal soul rising together toward the Creator. This vision changes the way we see everyday life. Each moment with a pet becomes sacred because it is part of eternity. The joy of a wagging tail, the comfort of a soft purr, the silent companionship during difficult times, all of these are pieces of a greater pattern. According to Cayce, nothing is wasted. Every act of love, no matter how small, contributes to the eternal journey. When you see your pet with these eyes, you realize that you are not just sharing a home or a life, but sharing eternity. And if that love is strong enough, if it resonates with the eternal laws of the soul, then your pet may indeed return to you again and again. This is why Cayce's teachings are not only about comfort, but also about responsibility. If pets are eternal companions in the soul's journey, then they deserve to be treated with reverence and love. They are not temporary distractions, but sacred bonds. To care for them is to care for your own soul. To honor them is to honor the Creator, who gave life to all beings. Cayce's readings remind us that the measure of our spirituality is not only in how we treat other humans, but in how we treat all of creation. In this sense, pets become teachers, showing us how to love selflessly, how to serve without expectation, and how to live with pure devotion. For those listening now, perhaps you feel a stirring in your heart. Perhaps you remember a pet you lost, or you see the eyes of your current companion in a new light. Let this message sink in. Your love is eternal, your bond is sacred, and nothing is lost. Edgar Cayce's insights reveal what your heart already knows, that love is stronger than death and that even your pet's soul may find its way back to you. Hold on to this truth. Let it give you peace, let it give you hope, and let it deepen the way you love those who walk beside you now. Because one day in this life or the next, that love will return to you. Before we close, I want to invite you to reflect and share. Do you believe your pet's soul could return to you? Have you ever experienced a sign or a moment that made you wonder if they already have? Share your story in the comments. I will read each one and mark it with a heart, because every experience matters, and together we create a space of hope and faith. And if this message has touched you, if it has given you comfort or opened your eyes to a new truth, I ask you to support this channel. Like this video, subscribe and activate the notification bell so that we can continue exploring the wisdom of Edgar Cayce and the eternal mysteries of the soul. Your interaction helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. Stay with us, because the journey is not over. Love is eternal, and so is the bond between you and your pet.